Here are 3 mistakes you must avoid at all costs when playing Vanguard in Marvel Rivals.
This is a mistake.
The first and biggest possible mistake you can do, and that applies to absolutely all Vanguards, is to not constantly look back. I don't care whether you play Magneto or Penny and sit a bit back, or you're Captain America and run around in the enemy back line like a maniac, you need to look back and check up on your team. Why? Because one of your main jobs is to protect and take care of your team. Even if you are a dive tank, you still need to be aware of whether your team is having issues behind you or not. Because if you don't check back, you might find yourself in the following situation. You go in behind, start harassing the enemy healers, maybe even get a pick or two on them, and then you die and nothing happens and you sit there confused.
Whoa, what did I do?
Yeah, you did your job as a diver, but if your entire team is decimated because of a Black Panther or Spidey and then you're left in a 1v3 situation, you simply don't achieve anything. You need to be aware of your own backline and jump in there to help and peel for them, especially if you play in a solo tank composition. Or you play Magneto, you're up there with your shield, pushing, then you find yourself on the point and nobody is there with you because they are all dead. Now, of course, it is not only your job to protect against divers or other threats. Everyone on the team should pitch in and help, but you can have a huge impact. So if you're Magneto, pop your bubble on your supports when they are jumped, or if you're Hulk, jump back in and clap your shield and so on. Look back and look back often. And another thing you can do if you made it this far in the video is consider subscribing to the channel, since it helps me out a lot. Now, the second mistake you must avoid is walk out straight in the open and not use cover. Yeah, you're a tank, you have 600 or more HP, but this does not mean you should just walk out and take free damage, because when you take damage first, you charge up the enemy ultimates, and you also put pressure on your healers to focus more on you and keep you alive. The damage blocked stat at the end of the game is not a brag, so you don't need to pump up the damage you take just to say in the chat that you took a lot of damage, okay? Don't just walk there in the open and keep the controller stick pushed forward mindlessly. Walk around cover, use the payload as cover when you're pushing it. Even if you have a huge health bar, try and avoid taking unnecessary damage and charging up enemy ultimates. So simply do not just walk straight to the objective, so you're getting focused and then your healers cannot keep up with the damage you take, especially if you are in a comp that does not have burst healing. So if you have Mantis or Rocket or Adam, try and use cover as much as possible. Of course, don't sit back behind cover because you're not the Punisher. Push and contest, but push and contest using cover. Here, I'll give you an example. In this map, let's say you are defending. If you just sit right here in the open, you're a very easy target because you have no cover. So instead, you'll want to use this S-shaped corridor here as cover, wait behind this wall, get out a bit and poke, contest, then hide back behind the wall, retreat, and use the other wall as cover if you're being pushed and you cannot keep up. See what I mean? And the reverse is applicable when you are attacking as well. Now, the third mistake that can lose you games is you don't know when your team has an advantage. This is a key skill in knowing when to push and when to contest as a Vanguard, and it is heavily dependent on your team composition. You should know when your team is at an advantage and then push and go all in, because sometimes it happens that the game begins, you all start rushing to the objective, wipe out, and then repeat. Let's say you are in a poke composition. You have a Hawkeye, you have a Hela on your team, so instead of rushing, wait, use cover and see if that Hawkeye or Hela can get a pick from far away, and now you are in a 6v5 situation and you're in a big advantage, and then you start charging forward. Or you're in a dive comp, wait for that Spidey to take out or distract the strategists out back or their DPS, and when they are distracted for a few seconds, then you're in an advantage because they cannot heal. So you start pushing more aggressively and you win the fight and the objective. The reverse also applies to know when to retreat when your team is in a losing position, when one of your healers goes down, or when they are distracted and dived. Then maybe it's time to take a step back. You see a defensive ultimate from Cloak and Dagger or Invisible Woman, then maybe retreat a bit because it is extremely hard to push through it and your team is at a huge disadvantage if you don't have a counter ultimate. The last mistake, and this one is a bonus tip, is stop focusing completely on the enemy tanks. You want to contest the other enemy heroes. I'll use Magneto as an example here, and the same thing applies to Strange, for example. What you want to do is not shoot directly at the enemy tanks because you'll definitely not take them down, but you want to shoot around them and shoot at the back line, putting pressure and contesting them. Magneto's basic attack has a maximum of 80 damage and it is quite slow firing, almost once every second. If you deal 80 damage in a second to an enemy Hulk, then you're not doing that much, but if you hit 2 basic attacks on a Luna Snow or a Moon Knight, then you chip away more than half of their HP in 2 seconds, and that will force them to retreat or heal. There are exceptions, for example, a Hulk pushing and fighting a Strange when he has his shield up because his melee damage can bypass the shield, but most of the time you want to try and not focus exclusively on the enemy tanks, but on the other heroes. So this sums up the 4 mistakes you must avoid when playing as a Vanguard, and if you found the info in this video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel and dropping a like on this video, and if you disliked it, let me know why in the comments so I can improve on the next ones. Until then, see you in the next video.